His first year, he did $600,000 in wholesaling in Dallas, Texas, one of the most competitive markets in America.
If you're investing, investors will.
The podcast for all things real estate investing.
Welcome back to another episode of Investor One-on-One. Today we have a very special guest for you guys who created the go-to website and CRM platform for real estate investors, changing the game for how they capture leads, convert deals, and dominate their markets. He's the founder and CEO of Carry.com, a bootstrapped SaaS company that's helped thousands of entrepreneurs attract motivated sellers, buyers, and clients, powering millions of inbound leads and ranking on the Inc. 5000 list 5 years running. From buying his first multifamily property at 21 with only $600 to his name, to building one of the fastest growing marketing platforms in the country, he's a true example of impact-driven entrepreneurship. Through his work, he's amplified leaders everywhere to create not just profit, but real lasting change. So please welcome to the show, Trevor Mauch.
Dude, or I appreciate the invite on, man. And like we were talking before we hit record, I'm just impressed with what you guys have built over the years. I've been way familiar with it, like I said before, the rebrand, and it's so cool to be able to chop it up with you today.
For sure, man. I'm really excited to talk to you today and learn more about your whole story. So let's start off with you founded Carrot.com to solve a big pain point for investors. Can you share the story of how the idea came about and why you built it specifically for real estate investors and anything else about your journey throughout this whole thing?
Dude, 100%. Yeah, I mean, taking it way back, I'm going to skip through a bunch of stuff, right? But if I kind of bring it to where it is today, we serve thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of real estate investors, mainly wholesalers, flippers, land buyers, and sellers. We have some note buyers and sellers, agents, and we help people get seller leads online, and tons of buyer leads and things like that. But if you were to Google, like, sell my house fast, insert any city in America, you're probably going to find somewhere between 3 and 6, 3 and 8 of the page one results, and most markets are a carrot-driven website. And the question is like, well, how did that happen? And like you said, where did the idea come from? Dude, I bought my first fourplex. I bought my first rental property when I was in college. It was like straight up Carlton sheets, no money down, the whole thing. And I bought near the college. It's cash flowed from day one. And so that kind of got me started in real estate. But for me, or what I discovered is I was learning a lot about wholesaling and flipping back then. This would have been 2004 or so. But I realized that I didn't want to have real estate be my active income. I loved marketing. And I was going, what if real estate can be my passive income or a long-term wealth building strategy? I love that. But what if I take this marketing, this seed of inspiration I had and passion for marketing, and see how far that can go. And so because I had the real estate side over the next 3 to 4 years, starting 2005 through 2008, 9, that's when I dove in and started to use the internet as a way to actually drive business. Before that, the internet for me was a way that we would kind of do some research for some college papers. I don't even know if I had bought anything in the internet by that time, 2005, maybe not. But I started to see the opportunity going, oh my gosh, when people have their biggest problems 50 years ago, 40 years ago, what would people do? Well, they would look in the yellow book, or they would ask a friend, how did you solve this problem? Right? Or the newspaper. And then as the internet came out, people started more and more, and it still happens today, going to the internet to solve those problems. And especially the biggest problems. So the ones that have a lot of risk or a lot of weight behind them. And there's the medical ones. People are always doing research online around medical issues. And then there's financial ones, the big financial ones, selling your house. So it could be things around their the financial plan, insurance, things like that. Those are spots where people are going to the internet more and more to be able to research those. And so I said, well, what if we could actually learn how to get in front of those people who are actually looking to solve their problem now, who are insanely motivated, like your guys' domain is, motivated sellers. How do I get in front of those motivated sellers? Right? Not just the ones who may want to sell in 6 months or 8 months, but the ones who are more apt to want to sell now. And it's over that next number of years before Carrot, I just started to hone that skill set. Well, number one, how do you get a website online? And back then it was like I was using Dreamweaver, and I was launching, and every page you wanted to update, you had to do Dreamweaver, and I can't remember what it was called now, but it would like send out to the server and send it back. And then things got a little easier with WordPress. And so we're setting up websites by WordPress manually, and all the plugins and all the things that go with it, and all the problems that go with it, updating plugins and having things conflict, and making it optimized for mobile. And then as we went, we go, man, we're getting visitors to our website. Shoot, they're not turning into leads now, right? How do we now optimize for conversion? And so we were the ones in this industry that were the pioneers, going all the way back to 2012, 13, even before Carrot was officially started, that we were the ones who really drove performance-based marketing online in this space. The ones who were, did 500, 600 plus split tests to determine what is the form, what is the ideal form, what is the ideal page structure that's, the navigation structure that makes a motivated house seller have less resistance on the website to then turn into a lead. So we created the standards that most people, including y'all's company, have used as the kernel of what makes a website perform. And then it would have been 2014, after generating tens and tens of thousands of leads for investors and agents in my consulting agency, I just go, man, I think this is a much bigger problem. And I think we can solve it with software, because the other website businesses out there were focusing on one thing. They said, let's just get a bunch of website templates up there to look pretty and have you as the investor choose between the 10 or 20 that you like best, pick one that you like the best. And I'm like, dude, that's fundamentally flawed, because at the end of the day, the investor wants more money in their pocket. They want the thing that's actually going to perform the best. But all the solutions were giving you options so you could choose what you think looks the best. What you think looks the best, or your aunt or your cousin or your graphic designer sister looks the best, has zero bearing on what's actually going to perform the best to a seller who's going through a situation and issue. So that's when we launched it and really quickly took over the market. And I'm just so proud of what our clients have been able to do over the last decade, over $1 billion in transactions. And it's been pretty darn fun going along the ride.
That's awesome, man. Truly an inspiring journey. And you hear Carrot everywhere and you see the impact that it's doing for investors, and it's amazing. So speaking of investors and being online, in your opinion, what's the biggest mistakes you see real estate investors making with their online presence and lead generation today?
Dude, there's a couple. So the first one I'm going to say is probably the least obvious for some people, but I think if you're doing offline marketing as your primary, like we'll talk with a lot of investors and go, well, I kind of have a website, I threw it up, but I don't do online marketing. I'm a direct mail guy or gal, or I'm a cold caller, or whatever it is. I don't do that. The biggest mistake, number one, is not recognizing that all offline marketing drives online demand. Okay, especially in this world. So if you have a billboard up, or you're doing direct mail or cold calling or whatever, what do we do if we stumble by a billboard or someone calls us 5 times and we don't answer? We're going, who the heck is this person calling us? So we're probably going to Google their phone number. I know I do. If a person keeps calling, they're not leaving a voice, I'm like, who the heck is this? I'm going to Google it, and I'm going to see what actually is popping up online for that phone number. I'm going to Google their I'm going to Google their company name if I got a direct mail piece, and just go like, are they legit? I just want to see before I call them up, I'm going to see what is the true story about them. Are there reviews online? And so I think we've been able to work with clients. One of them, his name is Carter, biggest home buyer in Oklahoma, had a fancy custom website. It looked pretty, but it wasn't set up truly for performance. If you looked at it, you're like, yeah, it looks like a good site. They spent 10,000 plus on the website, but then it's like, oh shoot, for performance, there's little tweaks, little elements that you guys know that if you adjust these things, the conversion can go up. And so because they were primarily offline marketing, they didn't put a lot of stock on their website. And once they made the switch and we helped them to really optimize that for performance, they added over $20,000 a month in extra income from their existing lead flow, just from their existing offline marketing, capturing people who are already doing their brand search and then removing the resistance on the website. So they were losing $200,000 to $300,000 a year from their offline marketing, not because they didn't have a website. They did. It looked good, because the website wasn't truly optimized and dialed in at the hilt. So that's the first thing, is people underpredict that offline marketing drives online demand. The second thing, dude, which I would say has been more important this last year or two, we were driving this a decade ago even. I remember the very first investor fuel mastermind I ever went to down in Dallas. It was the year that it started. The presentation I did was we're entering into the age of credibility. And I think this is in 2016, 2017. And people at that time were just throwing websites online. I'm like, no, guys, we've got to use that website as the credibility hub of all of our marketing. And here's the things that you got to do to make that happen. right? Tell real customer stories, real case studies on there, show real pictures of the local market, all stuff that's probably obvious for guys like you and I, right? But that's the second biggest mistake is people are not actually building their website as their core authority hub, that trust and credibility hub, okay? And so I want people to put more stock and index into that, because especially now with AI search, and several years ago when Google introduced EAT, right? Experience, expertise, authority, and trust. They want to see that your business has experience in what you do. You're an expert in it. You have authority in it, meaning other people recognize you as an expert in that thing. They're actually seeking you out. They're actually searching your business name, and you have some links coming to it, and then it's trusted. So we need to be building more of our story, more of those case studies, getting more of that personalization on those websites. That's a mistake too. People just throw something up, say, I'm good to go. No, you need to make that your hub. Last one. The last one is I think people all too often don't put the right amount of investment into their marketing channel online. Okay, here's what I mean there. Is people will go, man, I want to rank well in Google. And then they treat it like it's this thing that they can launch a website, do a couple things, and magically get those SEO leads coming in with a little bit of effort, right? Or PPC. They launch a PPC campaign, they put $1,500 into it, and they shut it off because they got 6 leads, and those leads cost $250. And like, I didn't get a deal yet. And so you need to treat your online marketing just like any channel. You should optimize for a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 ROI. I want you to take your average profit per deal, divide that by 4. So if your average profit per deal is $20,000 in your market as a wholesale, divide it by 4. That's $5,000. That's your max cost per deal. Okay, that's pretty easy. It's a 4-to-1 return. So you should expect to put in, around $5,000 or more, potentially right around there, to get a deal. So if you're stopping at $2,000 in that investment, or $3,000 in that paid campaign, or whatever it is, you're not giving math a chance to actually work for you. So I'll recap those. All offline marketing drives online demand. Guys, if you're doing offline marketing, I can guarantee you can increase your ROI and your profitability with the right website, with that demand. Number 2 is they're not using their website as the true hub of all of their authority and trust. Make that the thing you continually build. And then number 3, they're not putting the right expectations around their marketing budget when it comes to the website side. 4-to-1, 3-to-1 ROI is what you should be targeting in any marketing channel, including your website.
I couldn't agree more, especially on those 3 points. People really underestimate, the power of a social presence, of a really good website presence, especially in a world where everyone is on the computer these days, so you don't really know who's who. And you're in
Yeah.
an industry where, you have some people who really need to sell and are in a case that they're scared to trust people. So if you
Yep.
differentiate yourself in that aspect, you could be closing so many more deals and
Oh,
just
dude.
standing out much more.
And the key too, because the wild thing about industries like we're in, or is it's what I classify as a high ticket service business, right? It's a locally based, even if you have a virtual wholesaler who's doing deals all around, it's still a locally based service business, meaning people are usually going to be searching out online something related to their location, right? Sell my house in Oregon, or sell my house in Roseburg, or even if they're not putting the location, Google is then driving the location based on where they're searching from, right? And so in an industry like this, where your average profit per deal might be $20,000 or more, it's even more important to dial in the performance of your marketing, whether it's the performance of that direct mail piece, getting the copy just right and the call to action just right, or in this case, the performance of that website. Small tweaks. We've done, like I said, over 500-600 split tests on websites, all the way from, we've probably done 20 or 30 split tests in the form alone. And the way that we came to the order and what should be included in that form, we've tested 1 form field, we've tested 9 or 10, we've tested everything in between, the order of form fields, what should be on the button. And so when you today see what's on a button of like, get my fair cash offer or get my cash offer, we were the ones that brought that to the market. Everyone takes that for granted today, that that's just what you put on your websites. That was after 10, 15 split tests of what right words in the right order. And I'll give you an example of one test that dramatically increased the performance with 5 words that were changed. Okay, so what a lot of websites had on them back when we were just getting started was, you might, if you're lucky, they're going to have a form in the hero section, the top of the website. They might have too many form fields. but it would say like submit or continue or next step or something, right? Very transactional. And so as we were diving in and really learning human psychology over the last 15 years and how people make decisions and how do you reduce resistance, we started to put benefit oriented calls to action on everything, right? And we tested get my fast cash offer, get my fair cash offer, everything in between. And we found that fair cash offer actually performed better than fast cash offer because everybody wants a fair offer, but not everybody needs a fast offer, right? So we found both worked better than submit or continue, but we found that fair worked better than fast for certain reasons. So when we were testing submit or continue versus one of those benefit oriented button CTAs, in multiple tests, we found between 50 and 100% increase in conversion on the page just by changing those 5 words in the form from submit, continue to one of those things. And so I think a lot of people, they look at their website and they go, aesthetically, it looks like, let's say, a carrot site, or it looks like one of the big guys. You could be missing those little elements, the size of the button, the words in the button, the placement of it on mobile, where it lands on the above the fold, below the fold. What you're putting in the navigation, is the navigation structured in an order and a way that it flows in the way that the person's going to make a decision. When we were coming into the market, no one was structuring their navigation bar in any real particular order that made sense. It was just whatever the web designer thought should go in the nav bar, they throw up there. And as we went, we looked at heat maps and in data, and we used science to drive the performance. And we said, well, what's the heat map showing? There were some people clicking home, but we found a lot more people were starting to get used to the new web dynamic at that time of just clicking the darn back button or clicking the logo to get back to the home, right? And so we said, well, let's eliminate the home button because that's a wasted click. And then we started to look at where there were hotspots around the page, and we started to reorder the nav bar in the order that people wanted the information. And so then we found that if you order in a certain way, conversion went up because resistance went down. So the reason I want to bring that up is because we're in a high margin service business, every one of those little things makes a difference. If you lose just one leader, if you lose one deal this year because of underperformance on one of those 50 or 80 elements that boosts conversion, that's 20, that low cost website just costs you $20,000. And so I want people to think about that. You're in a high margin service business. Every little bit of leverage can make a real difference to your pocketbook.
In your opinion, how do top performing investors leverage Carrot differently from the average user?
Yep. Yeah, so I'll give a couple examples. So there's Josh and Tiffany High. So they're big investors up there in Columbus, Ohio. They coach a lot of people. They moved over from a custom website, which looked great, over to a Carrot website through one of our services to really dial it in. And so their site, heelshomes.com, I think it's HEELS homes.com. It was performing really slowly before. So the first thing is, if you're doing any paid traffic, especially, but Google as well, Google search as well, we've got to make sure that you're getting really insanely fast page load speeds. Once you get to about 2.5 seconds, where that hero is fully loaded in under 2.5 seconds, there's definitely diminishing returns on what you get. Let's say it loads in 0.5 second fully versus 2 seconds. You're not going to really see much, if any, conversion difference. Maybe a 100% of a difference on conversion difference. And we don't really see any real measurable difference in SEO rankings from the page speed alone. So get it to 2.5 seconds. That's the first thing is we want people to not have to worry about the page speed, not have to worry about the text, so they can just be an investor. Okay. The more you can focus on just putting money back into your marketing versus money into paying for a web guy or gal to design things that we can take care of, the more you can grow the business. The next thing is we help you make it into that authority hub. So every one of these clients, we go, let's look at your direct mail. Let's look at all the phone numbers that you guys are using to market. So what are all those tracking numbers you're using in your direct mail and your cold calling, all that stuff? Write them down and put those on your contact page. So you can just put them at the bottom down there in smaller text. Hey, you might have landed on our website from any one of these phone numbers. Amazing. Those phone numbers are things that we use to be able to help, browse around our website to see how we can help you purchase your home. So that's one of the things we look at, their holistic marketing. What is your other marketing doing? Because the very first thing we need to do is amplify your offline marketing. That's where the quickest ROI is. What are all the identifiable things in any marketing you're doing? The company name you're using on your direct mail pieces or cold calling. If you, as the founder, are the one in the commercials, and your name is on there, we need to optimize for your name, right? So that's the very first thing. Get the tech stack right. We help you take care of that at a fraction of the cost, a fraction of the effort. Number two is we want you to then dominate your brand search. Anything related to any of your marketing that people might search, you get those things on your website, get them optimized. So any searches that people are making from your offline marketing actually get to the website that you're controlling. Okay. The third thing that we help people do with it on the biggest investors is we want you to then, once you've dominated your brand search, is to really identify what is that core market you're going after and launch location pages. So you guys are amazing at this. That's one of the things that y'all did in the years after we were launching those. You guys took it and maximized it and perfected it in the need to sell your house fast.com and what you guys are doing. Amazing location pages. So launch maybe your first 10, right? What are the 10 cities and or states? Always have a state page and the city pages. Launch those with good quality content that shows the deals you've done, the expertise, and the people you've served, so you can start to get in there organically. Okay, last is then we want to go into markets really quickly with PPC. And so on that side of things, we have high converting landing pages that are backed based on data. And we've got some crazy cool things we're working on to really build our large data set for online leads. Layer AI over the top. This isn't in there yet, but we're testing it. We're building towards the future of auto optimized pages. We're automatically in 2026. We want to automatically optimize your page for page speed and say, hey, here's 4 things that we can fix for you. Click the button and approve and they're fixed. Or, hey, here's 4 things that can increase the conversion on your website based off of our data, based off of the marketing channel that you're driving traffic to. And click these 2 and we'll make the changes for you. That's where we're going. Okay. But yeah, the biggest thing, man, is got to make your offline marketing perform better. Launch your location pages and lay that organic foundation, and then be able to launch high converting pages on PPC backed by data. And we take care of that with you guys. We don't run the PPC. We just run the tech stack for the pages.
That's an amazing breakdown. And I know you spoke a little bit about search. I'm personally a big fan of optimized SEO, organic
Yep.
content for the long run, especially. A big part of our lead generation is traffic, and there's so many ways to get it. In your opinion, where should new or growing investors focus their efforts first, SEO versus paid ads?
Dude, it's tricky because right now when we're recording this, the paid market or the SEO organic world's changing a good bit with AI. And we've all seen the last couple months how Google has announced that they're moving towards the default mode in Google search is going to be Google's AI mode. And dude, this was probably 2018. I did a podcast on our it was at that time it was called the Carrot Cast, and now it's called the Evergreen Marketing Show. I did a prediction podcast on the future of search. And the biggest thing that people need to think about right now is I still fundamentally feel that organic search, or what we call evergreen marketing, is the foundation everybody should build on. And then you amplify it or increase the speed of getting to those leads with paid. Okay. Now, the reason I think organic search is the first thing you should do is because, number one, it takes some time to build up that momentum, whether you're doing the work and you're learning how to do that or whether you're hiring somebody. So get it happening fast, get those location pages going, get a website platform that is optimized for Google search, which is, historically been one of the things that we've really excelled in. But then I always want to go, well, let's get speed to lead now, right? Let's see if we can't get some leads now in the first 30 to 60 days. Because if we can get that first deal closed in the first 90 days from a paid campaign, we can now take that money and put it all, buy a fancy steak dinner for yourself. Now take all that money and put it back into that marketing pot to accelerate your paid marketing, and then now to help outsource some of the SEO so you can get that going quicker. So I suggest everyone should start with Google Organic for your brand name. Number 2, Google Organic for your primary city and state. Sell my house fast, Duluth, whatever it's going to be. And then if you can carve out that budget, like I mentioned before, what is that max cost per deal? 25% of your average profit per deal is what I would aim to target at. And then say, you better at least have that much allocated if you want to go into the paid marketing, and start that. and get your first deal done in the first 90 days if that's optimized well. That's the approach I'm going to take, but everyone's going to be a little bit different depending on the time and the budget they've got.
And in your opinion, for an investor that's watching this right now, and he's maybe cold calling or getting leads in different ways, but it's more like a hustle.
Hmm.
When is it time to move on from hustling for deals to building an actual brand and inbound lead machine?
Dude, it's a good question, man, because I'm the guy that has a business that of course sells people marketing tools and websites, and I'm also the first guy to say I so believe that when you're starting a business, I call it evergreen marketing and hamster wheel marketing. Okay, evergreen marketing is it's slower, it takes work. You've got to take a brick and just stack the brick one by one, and over time you're going to have this wall that is standing strong, but it takes a lot of work and time. Hamster wheel marketing is it takes work as well, but it gets immediate results, right? I so believe that when you're getting started, you've got to heavily weight on hamster wheel marketing. You've got to go out there and pick up the phone and call, knock on doors, get PPL leads, whatever it is that's going to speed up the process to be able to get your first one or two deals done. Okay. There's a client of mine, Brian, out of Dallas, Texas. I remember when he joined, he was a school teacher. He didn't have a big budget. He didn't have any experience. He was a shy guy, so he wasn't going to pick up the phone and do a ton of cold calls. But he couldn't quit his job yet, right? And so what he did for hamster wheel marketing is he goes, yes, I am going to, where he wanted to go was online marketing. That's where he wanted to index, but he knew it would take some time. So he joined Carrot. He got the website launched. He didn't put his income, goals on that right away, but he goes, I'm going to put in 4 hours a week to learn the basics of SEO and just execute what Carrot's teaching me, knowing that might not pay off for 6 to 12 months, depending on how, he's in Dallas, so it's a competitive market. He goes, I don't have any money to pay for marketing outside of that, but I'll pay for it with 4 to 5 hours a week of my time. But then he decided to do driving for dollars. So he said, I'm just going to do a new route home every day from my job to my house. And he started writing down addresses. This is before Deal Machine. He started writing down addresses of houses that looked ran down. He went home, and once a week, he wrote handwritten letters to those addresses, and he mailed them to him. He closed his first deal from one of those handwritten letters, netted him $9,000. He took all that money, and he goes, I don't want to do that anymore, but I've got some money now, and he put it into Google PPC. Google PPC then over that next 6 to 8 months is what brought him his first $300,000 in revenue. He then took some of that, hired someone to help him with some of the SEO to accelerate it. His first year, he did $600,000 in wholesaling in Dallas, Texas, one of the most competitive markets in America. Okay. So that model is what I would suggest for anybody getting started. Hustle, hustle, hustle to get the first deal done in any way you need to. Get the foundation going with a strong website, because your credibility could make or break you getting that first or second deal potentially. But you can get deals done without a website. I'm not going to say that you can't. You can. It just helps you on the credibility side. And then take the money from that and funnel it into something that gives you more leverage.
Well said. That's some really good advice. And you're in the tech industry. We're also in the tech industry, and you could see that the world is changing very, very fast, especially in the digital world. In your opinion, and you guys, have a lot of data. Where do you see this industry going to based off your data, off your stats, that investors can find insightful?
Yeah, so there's a few things that we see. So we talked AI search a little bit ago, right? So we are seeing a lot of shakeups. There are two big core Google core algorithm updates, March and in July of this year. Those are shaking things up a bit. And so I think the biggest thing that I want everyone to focus in on is whether you're doing online marketing or not, whether you choose to have a website or not, which once again, I think a website these days is just non-negotiable. You can close deals without it. You 100% can. I'm not arguing that. You can. I know people that are doing $1 million a year with no website. The challenge is the question of how many deals you're losing because you don't have one or don't have the right one. It's not set up the right way. It's not performed the right. How many deals are you losing? You're definitely losing some. So that's the question. How many are okay with losing because you haven't tightened it down? So I think people need to double down on their online credibility. Double down on it. Okay, that's where things are going, and especially with AI search. AI search is heavily weighted right now on the factors like EAT, showing your expertise online, showing your experience online, actually put real deals and real sellers on the website and say, not just I buy houses. I can sell your house, sell your inherited house in Indianapolis. Literally put on their case studies on that page of actual people's houses and their actual testimonials that you have actually bought. So, hey, we bought Johnny's house on Oak Street. This was his or her situation, and here's how we helped them out. And here's a picture of it. So Google doesn't just want to see now that you say that you can buy an inherited house. They want you to show that you have experience in that. Okay, so put that experience online. I think people should be really indexing on driving reviews online. And so just bake in a process into your closing process where it's just non-negotiable. One of your aims is to get a review, if you can, out of every deal that you close. Those reviews are more and more becoming not just a part of the ranking algorithms, but more and more a part of the decision process that people make in choosing who they're going to go with. Okay. And I think the more cluttered that the market gets, the more people are trusting and indexing on that online credibility. So that's got to be a biggie right there. The next thing that I'm seeing happen, or is we're in a phase of the real estate market, and I'm not talking real estate market as in like the housing cycle. I'm talking about real estate as far as the maturity cycle of the real estate agent and the wholesaler flipper business model. Okay, we're at a spot maturity wise where we're on the back end of that. No longer is this a brand new industry. Okay, no longer is it if back in the 1940s when a real estate agent, that's when real estate agents came, there wasn't an industry of go to a real estate agent to sell your house. It was this very difficult process to sell your house. So once someone said, "Oh, I can help you sell your house," they hung up their shingle. That was all it took to differentiate in the market. Now there's every option under the sun to sell your house with agents, with direct mom and pop house sellers, with the big dogs, with Open Door. So we're on the back end of that where the market's mature. It's a lot more to differentiate yourself in the market. And we're also at a spot where the market's going to consolidate. Okay, I think you're going to see more of the big players acquiring or pushing out the small players. I think you're going to see more of the big tech giants like an Open Door or OfferPad or Zillow start to find ways to solve the seller or the buyer's problem through tech and through scalable solutions. It's going to make it trickier for an average agent or an investor. And so I think in that world where I think in 10 years, there will be fewer flippers and house wholesalers. I think the flipping side is very hard for tech to take care of. Okay, so I would index towards how can we solve problems that AI and tech can't do, and then how do we create differentiation in our local expertise that AI and tech can't replicate very easily because we know the market so well locally. Okay, so double down on becoming differentiated in this market. Otherwise, I think we will find it way harder for the average wholesaler to compete in 5 or 6 years.
For sure, well said. And our industry changes a lot of lives on a day-to-day.
Oh man.
You yourself talk a lot about wrapping mission and impacting your business.
Yep.
You've said you wanted to amplify leaders. What does that look like in practice, and how can real estate investors apply that to their own companies?
Dude, one of the biggest things, so I've got a coaching program I launched a couple of years ago called Epic. And I launched it because I get so much energy working with leaders like yourself, working with people who maybe you're in a phase of business where it's painful, right? You're growing through one of the things that I call a pain line, and you're thinking about giving up mainly, potentially, or you're going, "Oh my gosh, this business was to free me. Now it feels like this business is trapping me because I'm doing all the, I'm doing all the things." And so I think the first thing is number one is treat this business not like you're driving towards an outcome at the end. Oh, I'm trying to stack up this much cash. Treat this business as business is the best personal growth opportunity I think that anybody can have. Because in order for the business to grow, you have to grow, right? Your business will never outgrow your identity. And so in order for your business to grow, you have to upgrade. You have to get better. You have to gain more skill sets. You have to remove some of those limiting beliefs and grow beyond them, and then your business can grow. So don't just lock your self-worth or happiness or joy into, did I make $1 million this year? Ask the question of, well, what do I need to learn, or who do I need to grow into? And then the outcome is, if you do that, is growth. I think the next thing, man, is I want real estate investors to make one of their primary missions in this industry to give investors a good name. I remember this vividly, dude. This would have been probably 2018. I was at a real estate agent mastermind, which I'd never been to one at that time. And agents, the pure agent is completely different than the pure investor. Like it's night and day. I thought they were way closer in mindset, but they're night and day different. And so I was walking with this gal who's one of the top agents in America for this brokerage, and she knew what we did. And she goes, "Oh, so wholesalers and flippers, they're like the underbelly of real estate, right?" I'm like, "The underbelly of real estate? Where is this coming from?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, the wholesalers are the ones kind of like talking sellers into selling for prices that way lower than they should be selling for, and they're kind of like ripping them off." I go, "No." So let me explain this to you. Every commodity, which real estate's a commodity, has a retail side of it and a wholesale side of it. Every commodity. I don't care if it's groceries. Retail side is walking into Safeway and buying groceries. The wholesale side is a part that people don't see. There's wholesalers wholesaling groceries back and forth all day long. So retail, everyone sees real estate agents, but the general public does not see the wholesale side of the market, right? And so I said the wholesale side of the market is required because there's certain goods, or in this case, certain real estate or situations that the retail side cannot take care of. Okay. And this gal's name is Noelle, and she's amazing. And said, "Hey, let's say there's a hoarder house and it's full of all these things and there's real issues with the house. Would you list that property?" Well, no, they've got to clean it up. Well, who's going to do that? Nobody. The investor can do that. Or let's say there's massive foundation issues. No one's going to buy that property. The investor can take care of that. Or it's a fire damaged home and half the home is burned. Is that going to be listed on the market effectively? No, the investor's going to take care of that. Right. And so I think the biggest thing is, if we're going to approach this market, y'all, I want you guys to approach it with ethics, with morality, with showing the good side of this business, that you're not here just to get a deal. I hate it when people post checks online and go, "Man, just bank this $100,000 deal." I'd much rather have you post a picture of that seller and go, "I'm so pumped that we got to solve Sally's problem because no one could have solved it better than we solved it." Yes, we made some good money from it because it was a hard problem to solve. But you know what? We took care of Sally, and that's what I'm most proud of. Share that up. Stop sharing checks, guys. This business is not about the check. You get the check by solving the problem of the human. Focus on the human, and this industry will win. Focus on the check, we're going to lose, and we're going to get squeezed out by regulation and by the NAR lobby, because they think what wholesalers are doing is not right for the seller. Show them the humanity, guys, and show them that what you're doing cannot be solved by the traditional retail side of the market.
I agree, and I love that perspective, Trevor. And I really hope you can start that ripple effect in this industry, because that is the beautiful side of this industry, and there is people like that doing that, and we don't see it as much, but we should.
Yeah, they're
You know what I
everywhere
mean?
out there, dude. Like there's these guys down in Florida. They've been using Carrot for years. They're ranked really, really high in the Florida market, crushing it. And on their about page, it's one of the best about pages that I've seen. It talks about their local community involvement and the charities they support and their cleanup days that they do in the communities where they're flipping houses, and how they take a certain percentage of their profits and put it back into the community to beautify the community, and focus on that, right? Like, how do we have real mission and real purpose behind the business, and show that consumer that if you do business with us, we're going to do right for the community. We're not just going to put it in our pockets.
That's amazing, man. I love that. That's truly amazing. And you're a very inspirational man, and I really are enjoying our conversation today. And you said you coach as well. Do you have any advice, a quote, a book, a podcast that could inspire us a little bit here?
Dude, so a couple things. Go to carrot.com/podcast. And so if anyone's curious to go down the route of learning more marketing and what I talked about, we have our Evergreen Marketing Show there. I believe we have my podcast linked up there, the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula, as well. So in there, what I would suggest everyone to do is, at the very start of the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula, I think it's 5 or 6 episodes that walk through what I call the pain lines. Okay. As you're growing a business, you hit pain lines at 3s and 10s. Things break in your business at 3s and 10s. 100,000, 300,000, million, 3 million, 10 million, 30 million. Things break at 3s and 10s. When things break, it gets hard. When things get hard, we want to quit, or we get distracted by something else. Okay. So I want you to go there, look at my Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. That shows you exactly what you need to do at every level in this business, exactly what moves you need to make, exactly what identity you need to step into. And I want you to go and listen to that episode because it's going to help you through that pain line that you're going through. I think you're going to realize there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your business. It's normal to experience exactly what you're feeling, and we'll help you through that. Okay. But I'll drop one thing on people right now. Okay. One thing on people right now is recognize the three things that your business is actually meant to be. What are you hiring your business to do? Because I think all too often we get hired by our businesses. Rather than us owning the business owns us, right? We start to get in the hustle and grind mode, and we start to get wore out. We start to get burnt out. We question whether we're going down the right path. Once again, we get distracted. And so these are the three things that your business should exist for. Number one, your business exists to give you to give you energy, and you should be interested in the problem that you're solving. Okay. Your business should not zap your energy 80% of the time. If it does, that's a business you're going to resent. I have a process called the energy audit. You can just get it online, carrot.com/energy. Grab my free energy audit with my training where I walk you through how to do that on a quarterly basis. And that's going to help you step into the things that give you the most energy in your work. Okay. The second thing your business should do is fund your vision, meaning you should have a decent level of clarity on what it is that you want out of your business. Like what is it that you want your life to look like? And what's it going to cost to live that life? Well, your business should fund that number. It shouldn't overfund it. You shouldn't grow the business just for the sake of ego or because you're at a mastermind and someone else's number is bigger. No, you're hiring that business to hit that number to fund your lifestyle. And the third thing is to help you have a business that makes an impact you're proud of. So I want you guys to thinking about those things. Okay. How do I continually do things in my business that I'm interested in that give me energy? That's a job that you would probably never want to walk away from. Number two, how much is it going to, what does my ideal average day look like? How much is that going to cost to live that vision? Build the business to solve that specific problem. Not numbers going after ego. You're hiring the business to solve that particular financial problem. And number three, how do I make it so I wake up every single day going, man, I'm proud of the impact I'm making with this thing. If you just lock into those things, guys, you're going to have a business you don't want to walk away from.
For sure. And Trevor, you've definitely made an impact in this whole industry, and you changed this industry for the better. If you were to start over as a real estate investor today with nothing but your expertise and experience, how would you build your online presence from scratch and succeed in today's era?
Dude, for sure. So I'm partial here, but I'd go to care.com, I'd launch a website, and avoid the whole process of trying to set up a WordPress site or use the AI tools. I was talking with the guy the other day on a Facebook DM, and he's like, dude, I was working with Claude and this, and I built my own website. And he goes, it took me 9 hours to get to this point. And he goes, I took it as far as I could get it. And I go, great, it looks okay, but that's probably going to lose you 3 to 5 deals a year just because it's missing these parts. Okay, guys, so skip that spot, skip that part, and use a proven system. Number two, I'm going to build my first 10 location pages. Okay, follow our free training online. Build your first 10 location pages. The state that you're in, that's your primary, and then 9 cities if you're in cities, your primary city, then any little suburb or city around it. Build those location pages. Okay, and then lock in on your calendar 5 hours a week for that first 3 to 4 months. If you can commit 5 hours a week, if you're just doing it yourself and not hiring it out, go through our training, learn from other people, and just execute the right next thing 5 hours a week. Okay, we've got the Facebook group and those things like that. And then if you have enough money to carve out for a marketing budget, take 25% of your average profit per deal. And let's say it's $5,000 for a $20,000 average profit per deal, and go, I'm going to invest this over the next 90 days to hopefully pull out my first real deal. I want to accelerate my marketing to get that first real deal done. And that's what I would do. And once I get that first deal done, I'm just going to put all of it. I'm going to buy a steak dinner, celebrate, put all of it back into my marketing, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. And then that's how we start to build consistency and get to that spot that I mentioned before where Brian Rockwell made $600K his first year doing that exact same thing as a newbie.
That's a great formula. And to conclude this amazing conversation, Trevor, what's next for you on a personal level, a career level that you're excited for? And a personal question for me is, how did you get the name Carrot? I just wanted to ask that as well.
Dude, so on the Carrot side of things, when we were thinking about business names, we wanted it to be easily brandable. I wanted to pick a color that at that time no one in our industry had owned, in the mind space of, and no one had owned orange yet. And also I wanted the company name to be able to go into any industry. So it couldn't be just like realestatewebsites.com. And I want to have fun with it, right? So if I were to turn my computer screen around, you guys will see there's Brady over there. I'm late for a meeting, but you see all kinds of orange stuff, and we can brand stuff well and have fun with it. But what is a carrot, right? Or what is a website? A website should be something that your prospect is attracted to. They reach up and grab, right? It's not this passive brochure. It's not this thing that's just there. And so I'm like, oh, dude, a website's just a carrot. It's just a marketing carrot. You're dangling this thing in front of people, and you need to make it enticing enough to grab it. So for us, it kind of matched all those, and we eventually got carrot.com. What am I excited about next, dude? Well, we're 10 years into this business, and we're reinventing ourselves. We're stepping into the AI world heavily. We want to use that massive data set that we've got to give our clients an advantage that is a core advantage that they can't get anywhere else with AI over the top of it. We took the CRM product that we acquired, investor fees, we're baking it into our product, and now we have data from front to back. We have the biggest data set in online marketing around motivated sellers in the industry, and now we have data all the way to the back end of closed deals and profitability. And we're going to be taking that, man, and rolling it in to give you all an advantage in your marketing. So the small guys can compete at the level playing field with guys like you who have massive experience in data. And that's where we're going, is really going to be an AI data-driven company over the next 12 months.
Awesome. Trevor, you're amazing. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you again for inspiring us and giving our audience a clear roadmap to show and grow their business with purpose. If anyone watching this wants to connect with you, what's the best way?
Yeah, carrot.com. We have a bunch of free information there. My IG, just go look me up, Trevor Mauch. That's Mauch. We post lots of great content on IG and YouTube, and those are probably the spots to start.
Awesome. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you for tuning in, and be sure to stay connected for more conversations with the nation's top investors and experts right here on Investor One-on-One. Thank you, Trevor.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.